Hi friends, I am Avinash. I am studying first year BHMS in Venkateswara Homeopathic Medical College, Chennai. In this video, we are going to see about the site determination and main features of femur bone. Okay, come let's go to the video. If you are comfortable with Tamil language, I have made another video of this same bone in Tamil. I have given the link in description, you can also watch that. Okay, if we take the femur bone, that is the thigh bone, it is the strongest and longest bone of our body. It constitutes more than 1/4 of the height of a human body. Okay friends, the femur mainly consists of three parts: upper end, shaft and lower end. Now we will see the side determination friends. In the upper end consists of a rounded head. The head should be facing medially. The head is the portion where the femur articulates with the acetabulum of the hip bone. The head only forms the hip joint, friends. Okay, and the shaft is cylindrical. Anterior portion of the shaft is smooth and uniform throughout. So you can easily differentiate the posterior surface and anterior surface of the shaft. Okay, the anterior surface is fully smooth and it is convex in nature, so you can easily identify the side. Now can you decide which side of bone it is? Okay, the shaft is convex in anterior. Okay, now you can easily identify the side of the femur bone, which side bone it is. The head is facing medially and the anterior portion of the shaft is convex. Okay, now you can easily tell it's right femur bone, friends. Okay, now we will see the features of upper end. The upper end mainly consists of head, neck, the greater trochanter, lesser trochanter, and intertrochanteric crest in posterior surface, and in anterior it consists of intertrochanteric line. Here one thing you can notice, friends, the upper end and lower end will not come in a same line. Okay, it is the lower end is slightly placed medial compared to the upper end. This is due to the angle of torsion. The transverse axis of the upper end and lower end is differentiated. It is placed somewhat medially. The lower end is compared to upper end. The angle is somewhat 15 degree, friends. First we will see the head, friends. The head is somewhat half spear shape. It is like a spear, but it's not complete spear. It is more than a half spear. Okay, the head is the portion where it is, as I previously said, it articulates with the acetabulum of hip bone to form hip joint, friends. And you can notice here it's a roughened pit is present at the center. Not center, it is below the center of the head. The pit is name of the pit is fovea capitis. Through this pit only the femoral arteries will come and supply the head of the femur. Okay, now we will see the neck, friends. The neck consists of two borders and two surfaces. Mainly the upper border and lower border. The upper border extends from the head till the greater trochanter. This is the greater trochanter. It extends from head till the greater trochanter, friends. And the lower border extends from head till the lesser trochanter. The neck is the portion which connects the upper end with the shaft. Okay, we will see the two surfaces. First, the anterior surface. Anterior surface extends till the intertrochanteric line. And we can see the posterior surface, friends. Posterior surface is somewhat convex, but it is concave side to side. It is posteriorly convex, friends. It extends till intertrochanteric crest. And medial surface is important, friends. It consists of intertrochanteric fossa. It is just a deep depression present in the medial surface of greater trochanter. Now we will come to the lesser trochanter. Lesser trochanter is just a conical eminence present in the medially backwards to the upper end. It is present between the neck and shaft, posterior inferiorly. Now we can see the intertrochanteric line anteriorly. It marks the junction of the neck and the shaft. Intertrochanteric line is present between two trochanter anteriorly, friends. It extends from the greater trochanter laterally and till the lesser trochanter medially, and it extends to the posterior surface as spiral line that we will see later. And in posteriorly, the junction between the shaft and the neck is marked by intertrochanteric crest. Crest is nothing but a thickening present between the greater trochanter and lesser trochanter. We can see a projection in the middle of the intertrochanteric crest, that is nothing but quadrate tubercle. Now we'll see the shaft, friends. Shaft is more or less cylindrical. It is narrowest in the middle and it goes on expanding in inferiorly and superiorly. It is mainly divided into three parts: upper 1/3, middle 1/3 and lower 1/3, friends. Now first we'll see the middle 1/3. Middle 1/3 has three borders and three surfaces. Okay, first we'll see surfaces. One is anterior surface, another lateral surface and medial surface. If we come to see the borders, one is lateral border, other medial border and posterior border. The medial and lateral borders are not well defined, but posterior border is clearly visible and we can touch and see it. The posterior border has two lips, medial lip and lateral lip. It is also called linea aspera, friends. If we come to the upper end, the linea aspera diverges as two borders. It is the linea aspera's, the medial lip forms spiral line and the lateral lip extends and here it forms a small elevation. It is nothing but gluteal tuberosity. This upper 1/3 has four surfaces and four borders, friends. Now we will see one by one. Anterior surface, lateral surface and medial surface, then posterior surface. Posterior surface is present between the spiral line and gluteal tuberosity. The four borders are medial border, lateral border and spiral line is also one border, friends, and gluteal tubercle also marks one border. Now we will see the lower 1/3. In lower 1/3 also the linea aspera diverges and forms medial supracondylar line. Because the line is present above supracondyle, so we will call it as medial supracondylar line. And the lateral lip of linea aspera extends as lateral supracondylar line, friends. The four surfaces we'll see, friends. One is anterior surface. Then in the back side it is called popliteal surface, friends. Between these two medial condylar and lateral condylar line, we can see the popliteal surface and lateral surface and medial surface. The four borders are medial border, lateral border and medial supracondylar line and lateral supracondylar line. That's all the shaft. Now we will move to the condyle, the lower end, friends. The lower end is widely expanded, friends. It consists of two condyles, medial and lateral condyle. It is united in anteriorly and it is separated by a deep gap posteriorly. The gap is intercondylar fossa or intercondylar notch. And the important part in the lower end is patellar articular surface and tibia articular surface, friends. First, if we take patellar articular surface, it is articulated the anterior side of the two condyles, but it is more articulated in the lateral condyle and less in the medial condyle. And if we take tibia, it is articulated between the two condyles, posteriorly and inferiorly. Now we see the lateral condyle, friends. Lateral condyle is less prominent compared to the medial condyle. You can see, right, medial condyle is more prominent but lateral condyle is less prominent. It is more in line with the shaft. It is a benefit because it transmits more body weight to tibia. Okay, it has a small prominence in its lateral surface which is nothing but lateral epicondyle. Lateral epicondyle has small impression in it, that is popliteal fossa. Not popliteal fossa, sorry, it's popliteal groove, friends. And posteriorly a muscular impression is present in the lateral epicondyle. And we will move to the medial epicondyle, friends. Now we will see the medial condyle, friends. Medial condyle is convex medially. It has the most prominent part in its medial surface, which is the medial epicondyle. Okay, in medial epicondyle, posterior superiorly, there will be a small projection you can see here, which is the adductor tubercle. This is an important anatomical landmark because the epiphyseal line of which is the growth plate of lower end of femur is present in line with the adductor tubercle, friends. That's all for the medial epicondyle, medial condyle. Now if we come to the intercondylar fossa or intercondylar notch, it separates two condyle posteriorly and inferiorly, friends. It is limited in anteriorly because of the patellar articulating surface, and posteriorly it is limited by intercondylar line. This intercondylar line separates the intercondylar notch from popliteal surface, friends. That's all the features and side determination of the femur. If this video is useful for you, like, share and comment this video. Thanks for watching.